You're standing in the kitchen aisle, scrolling through endless listings, wondering if any of these big glass door fridges are really worth the space and the price. You don't want to waste a few $100 on a unit that just sits there looking cool while it barely keeps a six-pack cold, and you're also nervous about ending up with a noisy appliance that turns your living room into a humming hive. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The reality of a home or small business bar is that you need a dedicated spot for drinks that won't fight with your regular fridge for space, especially when you're entertaining a crowd or keeping a stock of craft brews. That's why a counter-height beverage refrigerator makes sense. It lives at the same level as your countertop, so you can grab a bottle without bending, and the glass doors turn it into a visual centerpiece. The trade-off, of course, is that you're committing a chunk of floor space to a single purpose, so you have to be sure the unit's capacity and performance line up with your actual usage. The PEAKCOLD sliding 2-door model is a 61-inch wide, counter-height fridge that promises 15.8 cubic feet of storage behind 2 glass doors. In practical terms, that's enough room for roughly 120 standard-size bottles or a mix of cans, bottles, and even a few small kegs if you arrange the 4 adjustable shelves strategically. I've seen people use the top shelf for taller bottles, push the middle shelves down to create a wine rack for glassware, and keep the bottom shelf for bulk packs of soda. The adjustability really lets you shape the interior to the way you actually drink, rather than forcing your collection into a rigid grid. When it comes to cooling, the unit relies on a side-mounted compressor that the manufacturer markets as efficient cost-saving design. Because the compressor sits on the side rather than the back, the cooling coils have a direct line to the interior, which tends to reduce temperature swings. In everyday use, that means you can load a case of beer, close the door, and expect the temperature to settle within an hour rather than the half-day lag you sometimes get with cheaper units. The noise level is listed at 5060 dB, which is about the same as a normal conversation. In a home bar, that's usually fine. The hum is noticeable if you're sitting right next to the fridge, but it won't drown out a TV or a music playlist in the background. Energy consumption is another angle that often gets glossed over. The side-mounted compressor not only speeds up cooling but also runs more efficiently because it doesn't have to fight against heat radiating from a rear-mounted unit that's sandwiched against a wall. For someone who keeps the fridge running 24/7 during a party season, that can translate into a few dollars saved on the electric bill each month. Not a massive sum, but it adds up if you're running multiple units in a commercial setting. Durability and aesthetics are often the silent dealmakers for bar owners. The PEAKCOLD comes with a sleek black finish and stainless steel accents that blend well with both modern kitchen cabinets and traditional bar countertops. The glass doors are tempered, so they hold up to the occasional bump when you're pulling a case out during a busy gathering. The unit is ETL certified, which isn't a brand new buzzword but an indication that it meets safety and performance standards set by an independent testing lab, a small reassurance that the fridge won't short out or overheat while you're focused on pouring drinks. Now, who should actually consider this fridge? First, anyone who regularly entertains, think weekly game nights, backyard BBQs, or a small home brewery and wants a visible, accessible cooler that can hold a decent inventory without crowding the kitchen. It also makes sense for boutique coffee shops or wine bars that need a dedicated beer station. The counter height matches the workflow of bar staff who need to grab a bottle quickly. If you have a dedicated bar nook, a man cave, or an office kitchenette that sees a lot of traffic, the extra storage can prevent your main fridge from becoming a bottleneck. On the flip side, there are clear reasons to skip it. The footprint is substantial. At 61 inches wide, you need at least a 64-inch clear space to allow for door swing and ventilation. Small apartments or cramped kitchens will struggle to accommodate it without rearranging cabinets or sacrificing other appliances. Also, the unit is a pure refrigeration unit. There's no freezer compartment, so if you need to store frozen mixers, ice cream, or pre-made cocktails, you'll still need a separate freezer. Finally, while the noise level is acceptable for most, a bedroom or a very quiet studio apartment might find the 5060 dB hum a bit intrusive, especially if the fridge is placed right against a wall. One practical weakness that shows up in real-world use is the sliding doors themselves. They glide on a track that can collect dust and sticky residue from spilled drinks. If you're the type who opens the doors repeatedly,